Yo, what is going on, guys? Morris here, bringing us a brand new Busch Gardens video. Today we're going to talk about a Q&A that happened with President Kevin at the Member Appreciation Weekend, also part of St. Patrick's Day. I wasn't able to make it this past weekend, had other obligations. I hope you all that went had a great time. But shout out to Dimitri's Adventures for filming the entire Q&A and putting it on YouTube, because that was awesome, and I watched through it, and I was expecting a little bit, but I wasn't expecting a whole lot. And then as I was watching it, I was like, whoa, there's actually some really cool pieces of information in here, so we're going to talk about it. And not only is it cool new information, but it's also confirming some information we had in the past. And this information is really cool because it confirms what we already knew, but also provides some updates on stuff that as fans we've been wondering for a long time about the park. First and foremost, we're going to be talking about the topic most of you guys are clicking on this video for, and that is a new ride / roller coaster in 2026. Now, we talked about this in the last sit-down video where we talked about some updates from the construction tour of Big Bad Wolf, The Wolf's Revenge. But in this Q&A, President Kevin actually went a little bit deeper into some of the plans for what that could be next year. Now, I mentioned one thing that he said on the construction tour was they're just trying to figure out where to put it, which signified it was probably going to be a bigger ride. Now, that didn't mean a roller coaster, but it was going to be a ride that's bigger than the Da Vinci Garden. And speaking of the Da Vinci Garden, he spoke a little bit about Flying Machine. It's just they were taking it apart to just kind of do some maintenance on it as they typically would, and there were just so many problems with it that it just didn't make sense to keep going back and fixing it over and over. And that is what led to its closure. So that's 2 rides down in the Da Vinci's Garden. So in 2026, he was talking about they are working on plans. They haven't solidified anything yet, but we have to imagine they have a pretty good idea about what it's going to be. Now, people in the Q&A asked about an RMC, a Giga, or a Stratocoaster. We kind of knew there was some talks about RMC coming to the park. He specifically mentioned Iron Gwazi and how good of a ride that is and how popular of a ride that is. And he said, yeah, there were a lot of deep discussions about an RMC, and that is still part of the long-term plan. That doesn't mean it's going to be next year's roller coaster. I would say within the next 5 to 10 years, I think there's definitely going to be an RMC coming to the park. I've mentioned in the past there's been some issues about getting an RMC to the park with Busch Gardens' parent company. So there's some stuff they got to work out there before an RMC can come to the park. But it doesn't mean that the next coaster is going to be an RMC. They also mentioned about a Giga. And the president mentioned that they have looked into a coaster that goes over 300 feet, which we already knew from years ago. And they've also looked at one that goes over 100 miles per hour, which we didn't actually know. I've ridden a Stratocoaster. I've never ridden a Giga coaster. Look, I would love the extreme type roller coaster to make it to the park. The one that just shoots off very fast, has that super high top hat. I don't think it's 100% going to be a roller coaster next year. I think it's probably going to be, but I wouldn't count out that there's a flat ride, because President Kevin mentioned the importance of flat rides and that is something that he fights for, that not everyone agrees with him on. And this is what was really interesting, and I really appreciate him doing these Q&As and these town halls, especially like this one. He was very open where things lie between him, the Busch Gardens brass, and the parent company. And he said that he knows the importance of a flat ride, of simulator rides, and he was asked about the simulator ride, and it's something that's on the radar. That doesn't mean it's going to come next year, the year after that, but there's like the list of like, hey, these are things we need to work on in the park. And he said a 4D simulator ride, more flat rides are definitely part of that, in addition to roller coasters, because not everyone rides roller coasters, believe it or not. And to be honest, 100%, I love roller coasters. I'm a coaster junkie. I'm ready for something other than a roller coaster coming to the park. I'm ready for a flat ride, even if it's a water ride, motion simulator, 4D dark ride. Give me something new that's not a roller coaster. But then, you know, they'll come out with like this groundbreaking roller coaster, and I'll be like, shut up, I'll be there. The way it sounds is that it's probably going to be a coaster next year, and probably a big one, because like we've gotten a couple of family coasters in a row now. I think we're going to get a big coaster coming next, and like I said, they're just trying to figure out where to put it. I think it is going to be also in that extension of Oktoberfest section. He did say there's not going to be a new country within the next handful of years at least, and that's what we said for a long time, that if they were to expand the park to a new country, it's not going to happen before 2030. You know, I think they've done a couple nostalgia bits with Dark Coaster, and then refurbishing Loch Ness, and then bringing back the Wolf, and now like, all right, now we kind of have a clean slate. Let's start over again, and let's start with something new. Let's bring something new to the park, and I think that's going to be really cool for them. I think that's something that they're excited for and they're working towards. And I just really liked where President Kevin said it there, stressing the importance of the smaller things in addition to the big things when it comes to rides and the overall experience of the park, which is amazing because we know they are planning to reinvest in theming in certain areas of the park and just renovate some areas. Like I said, the bathrooms, they redid the Festa Italia bathrooms, they redid the England bathrooms, and he said their kind of goal is to renovate a bathroom per year. There's a lot of them, but probably like the main ones, and they need it. A lot of them need it really bad. So I'm glad that they're taking that care to try to renovate a whole bathroom per year. That was a whole nother topic, but I went ahead and covered that right there. But for the 2026 ride, guys, let me know, what kind of ride do you want? Do you want a flat ride? Do you want a roller coaster? Do you want a family coaster? Do you want a Giga coaster, Strata coaster, RMC? What do you want? It's all up in the air. It's all blue sky thoughts right now. And hopefully this summer, he said, we will have information regarding that. Now, that's all regarding that ride. Someone asked about new indoor restaurants. This is like a small thing, but we're just going to kind of touch on a bunch of small things here. No new indoor restaurants. He said they're really trying to just fix up the ones they already have, kind of like the restrooms. They're just trying to make everything they already have better before they start adding new. Like, there's a spot in Ireland that hasn't been used. It's a nice little spot there. They used to have a kind of like a mini service restaurant, and they just need to fix that up. They just did some renovations to Marco Polo, and I think they just kind of need to get the food back to its top-notch level before you start adding new restaurants. So I was totally in agreement with Kevin right there. I think you need to be able to have all of your restaurants open and staffed and had the food quality really good before you start adding more restaurants into the mix. Now, one thing that was really cool, someone brought up these Pet Shenanigans Theater. It has not been used in years and years. And he said, is there any plan to bring the show back? And Kevin said, there's no plan to bring that specific show back, but they do want to reimagine the theater. They see it as a very useful theater. Obviously, it's a nice spot. It's nice and secluded, especially in the summer with a lot of tree cover. And I think they see a lot of potential with it. And I think they're going to find something to do with it, whether it is animal related or not. I don't know. My outdoor theater, maybe kind of in the vein of like the old characters that would walk around the park back in the day. Maybe something like that. I think they just want to make sure that they're using that space that they have. I wasn't part of this, but there was like the beer club, whatever that was called, that ended now, and they're trying to come up with the reimagination of what that's going to be moving forward. He said he knows there's a passionate group that really loved it, but overall there wasn't a whole lot of people that really had a whole lot of interest in that like beer club at Grogan's and the Bra House. So it went away, but they're trying to find a new way to honor what was there. So for you beer lovers out there, hope you guys get something new. A lot of people, and I know I want this, our membership rewards. We hate those stupid kiosks that keep going out of order because they run out of tickets. They are looking into getting the membership rewards in the app. He said if it was up to him, it would have been that way a long time ago, but it's a bit of a higher up issue that they have to jump through to solve that. But he said it's being worked on, and we should get some results later this year, summerish, which is going to be really nice because we get so many nice membership rewards, and to not have to wait in those lines would get people into the park much faster, and I think that's what the park would want. For Food and Wine is coming up. There are going to be new booths. Their plan is to have 3 new countries every year. They're running out of new countries, he said, to find, but they're always finding new ones and new styles of food and drink offerings that they can bring to the festival. So that's an exciting little piece of news. The whirlwind, a lot of people have taken pictures that is pretty much stripped apart. Now, this was interesting. Needed to do the maintenance on it, and there was one piece, but because the way the ride was built, they can't just find it on a shelf here in America. They had to get it created and imported from Europe to the ride. So they had to pretty much take apart the whole ride to get that piece in and then reassemble the ride to get it back up. And they said it should be up in the next week or two, which is really cool. It's just kind of cool that, it has a piece that's specific that they had to go to Europe and like, hey, we need this piece. So they had to craft it and then import it here, which is pretty cool. Apollo Shading for Bolton have been down for an extended period of time. They're both expected to be up and running by now. But President Kevin said that they've had some maintenance issues, a little bit bigger than the normal breakdowns, and it's taking a little bit longer for those rides to get going. Polished Cherry is expected to get up really soon. For Bolton, not as soon. For Bolton, still several weeks away from being worked on. I would love to think that they're adding some of the theming and some of the lights back, but unfortunately, I don't think that's the case. I think it's just regular maintenance issues that they're working on, but who knows? You always can have a little bit of hope. And those are pretty much the main talking points that I gathered from watching the long Q&A. Like, it was a long Q&A. He did a lot of great questions, and I didn't know if I was going to make a video about it, but I think there was enough interesting stuff and enough information for people who love the park, that want to know more about what's going on and what's the future of the park. I thought it was enough to cover, especially because it gave some information not only about the 2026 ride, but some of the developments into rides over the past several years, and so just confirmed things that we knew about, the RMC potentially coming to the park or a Giga Coaster. We knew about all that, and it's just nice to have that confirmation and to know that the park is looking to add that top tier roller coaster. We got one with Pantheon, and now they're looking to add another one to add to this lineup of coasters, which, you add an RMC and or a Giga. I mean, Busch Gardens might have one of the best coaster lineups in the world, which is crazy that Busch Gardens in Williamsburg, Virginia could have one of the best coaster lineups in the world. But it is true. And it's just about finding the right spot, right space, and right story to tell with a coaster like that. And I think that they are planning something really big. Like I said, I think there's a ride that they're slowly building up. They've done like the Loch Ness Monster renovation, the Big Bad Wolf, these family coasters, the nostalgia moments. And now we're building up to this moment where we're going to kind of get this big explosion of a huge ride in addition to getting rides in the Da Vinci's Garden, because President Kevin emphasized how important flat rides are and how important it is that they get at least one bigger ride, if not two more rides, back in the garden, because it's good to get people moving through that area. It adds a nice kinetic energy as you're walking past Italy. So you want to honor what was already there. So I think they're looking into new flat rides. But what I think they're trying to do is they're trying to push the needle. Busch Gardens over years has always been a park that a lot of times they build prototype coasters, like these coasters that are first of their kind, biggest of their kind, fastest of their kind. And even when it comes to flat rides, they want to be ahead of the curve. So I think they're looking at what is a flat ride that puts us ahead of the curve, not just, hey, everyone likes this kind of flat ride over here, so let's just copy and paste that. Because they did that with Tempesto, and it's such a mixed bag between people that like it or dislike it. So I think that they want to make sure that this next one, they push the needle a little bit. Especially like when it comes to replacing Mock Tower. There's a lot of stuff they have to replace. So that's why there's no plan on expansion of the park anytime soon, because you saw the Ireland Simulator building, the Mock Tower site, Da Vinci's Cradle site, Flying Machine site. That's 4 rides. So why even think about expanding the park and building all these new things if you don't even have all your places you already got filled? So that's what I really liked about President Kevin just being honest. It's like, look, we got to fix up what we already have before we add on anything else. And that was just a really nice and honest moment. And that's what I really loved about this Q&A, was just the honesty that came from President Kevin. And just that he was just very forward about, hey, some of these things I would love to just fix right now for you guys, but this is a process we have to go through, or it's a higher up parent company issue. So I just really enjoyed the Q&A. Let me know what you liked about this information. What would you still like to see the park focus on going forward? And what are your thoughts about the 2026 attraction and beyond? Let me know in the comments down below. But thank you all so much for watching this video. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure to like this video if you enjoyed. Make sure to hit that bell button down below so you're notified every single time I upload a brand new video to the channel. Make sure to go stream my song Sunglasses wherever you listen to your music. And make sure to go check out the Patreon. A bunch of behind the scenes and exclusive Busch Gardens content there on the Patreon. My name is Will Morris, and I'm out. Peace.
I know I'll see